Welcome to the Philippines in Cebu City. Got some fucking chickens here. Look at this one. Damn. So the funny thing is they actually do fights between those chickens. This shop here next actually offered me to look at the chicken fight on Sunday. Yeah, sometimes these fights are to the death. So it's not the perfect travel destination for vegans or vegetarians. Yeah. There you can see the eggs, preparing that shit there. Just people hanging out on the streets. How are you? Yeah, but here this is already like you have to be careful with these neo-privacy laws that they put in the Philippines into place, because they have those privacy laws where you have to blur the faces of bystanders if they're old or children or whatever, and you can actually be fined with $1,000 fine, which is kind of ridiculous. Because Philippines lives off tourism, and these travel vloggers are promoting it for free. And if you ban them from doing their job, then they're gonna leave, and all the free promo is gone. These are little things. I'll get deeper into that. Why? Once I have some money saved up, I'm gonna probably leave this place. Yeah, it's just like random shit like that, you know, that you can't. There's just weird rules. They just make your life sometimes a little bit difficult in this country. And also, yeah, I mean, in the Philippines, it is very, very customary to be quite dishonest, I would say. So a lot of the culture sometimes is like making empty promises, you know? It's very simple things like, yeah, the internet connection works very well. And then the internet is total shit. It's super fast internet. But the reality is the internet is total shit. So it's just a straight up lie, and I know it's a lie. I have this guy who still has my deposit. It's not paying it out. So now I have to go in front of a judge, which is a relatively simple process here for small money amounts, luckily for me. But yeah, in general, I gotta say that I like Latin America more than Asia, even though Philippines is relatively similar to Latin America in some ways. It still has this Asian influence, you know. Actually, the ethnical groups here are very diverse. They have Chinese background, Spanish colonialist background, Japanese background. So they have these like this influence from Japan, which is like being very indirect and shy, is indirect communication sometimes, like laughing behind your hand and these kind of things. And this is not my thing, you know. Some people like that. Some people like Asia for those reasons. I don't. So back to the title. Why did I say broke and exiled in the Philippines? Why do I make these like extreme statements? In the last month, been all over Southeast Asia. Thailand, Laos, Malaysia, all these countries that are heavily advertised by the travel industry, by travel vloggers, by the digital nomads, by all of this shit. For me, personally, it was full on hell, because I've been heavily restricted in the last years, been persecuted for speaking freely, fired, police coming to my apartment in Germany. I saw freedom of speech getting more restricted. So I started highly valuing freedom of speech. Now, in Asia, in almost every single country in Southeast Asia, you have minimum authoritarian countries, except for the Philippines, maybe. But Thailand, just as an example, is a country where you can go to prison for the rest of your life for making a joke about the king's dog. And people will be like, don't make a joke about the king's dog. It's like, yeah, fair, but you live in a country then where you have constant fear of saying the wrong word and your life's over. So that's inhuman climate to live in. And that's why I went to the Philippines. Because the Philippines is a secular country with relatively freedom of speech. So you have freedom of speech guaranteed by the Constitution, but they also put some laws in place here that restricts that, mainly to cover up corrupt politicians. So they call this defamation laws or digital cyber protection, where if I show a politician and what he's doing, he can sue me for harassment. So it's always the same story. Powerful people try to protect themselves and want to cancel people from bringing the negative truth to the light. Yeah, more on that in a second. It's a bit noisy here, and you'll already see the negative sides about the Philippines here, which is the infrastructure. So basically, you have almost no sidewalk here. It's just the way we're walking right now is actually for the Philippines a pretty good sidewalk. So this is actually not a bad one at all. But in general, the infrastructure is just insane. Insanely bad. And especially Vietnam and Thailand, you have way better infrastructure than that. You can see I'm just like walking on a small sideway here next to the road. And again, this is the best it gets. Like in most of Cebu City, you have way worse infrastructure than this. But you can never, like, you have to always watch your step so you don't step into something, break your foot. Yeah, look at it. I mean, it's just absolutely fucking crazy. You know, you're walking straight up on the road next to the cars. Yeah. Greetings to the government that are trying to protect their ass from solving this shithole. How about, instead of silencing the people, you actually start taking care of shit and building some fucking streets? Wouldn't that be a crazy idea? I know. All right, we made it to the more developed part now of the Philippines, in Cebu. Yeah, I just stopped filming at the street right now because it was absolutely mad. I mean, if you look at the infrastructure here, the responsibility would, of course, be with the politicians, but they're highly corrupt. They're taking the money out. So if you talk to people here, they'll say that to you. You know, yeah, they're walking in suitcases, taking the money out, and it's just very, very corrupt. So it actually makes a lot of sense that a large part of this country are actually underdeveloped. It is really a corruption thing. And to be honest, I don't think it would have to be this way. But my experience so far here was that people always point at the politicians, you know, to show the corruption. But in the overall population, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of people that will make empty promises to you. They will promise you things they don't deliver, or will straight up lie to you or try to scam you. And it's not just the politicians, okay? This is really just people in the Philippines in general, like to a large extent. And of course, if that's like the social dynamic, then you don't have any trust between people. Things cannot be, you can't get things done because there's lacking trust. If you don't have trust, then you really can't build a functional society in general, if that makes sense. Anyway, this part in the city that we're in right now is actually a relatively nice IT park. which is actually the only neighborhood where you want to live in Cebu City. So far, what I could see, most parts of the city are just absolutely nuts. But yeah, here it's kind of like El Poblado in Medellin, you know, it's like quite developed, and it kind of looks like a Western country almost, in some ways. And you have like condo apartments everywhere that cost you around like $350 per night, per month. So you can just walk in there and rent the places on a monthly basis. And they will be in quite modern buildings, if that makes sense. And yeah, to be honest, in the Philippines, usually you pay more than in other Southeast Asian countries, but you get something worse. But here, the apartment price is actually pretty fair, especially compared to like Bangkok or something like that in Thailand. We're just gonna pay way more than that. So yeah, it's I guess it really depends on what you look at in this country. But I have to say that I'm not the biggest fan, so I'll probably leave as fast as I can back to Medellin, or like first Europe and then back to South America, because the Asian culture in general, especially the Filipino culture, is not my thing. You know, when you talk to people, sometimes you say hello, how are you? You don't get a response at all. It's a very like indirect kind of just non-confrontational way of communicating, and it's just, for me personally, I just find it fucking weird as fuck, you know. So I'm someone who's really straight to the point, very direct, and it's just a cultural mismatch, I guess. But that's fine, you know. They can do whatever they want here, but I don't think I'm gonna be part of it for too long before I just get the fuck out of this country. So regarding my financial situation, I mean, the title was like Broke and Exiled, you know, in the Philippines. Yes, I went to the Philippines because of the lacking freedom of speech in other Asian countries. I'm gonna make a more detailed breakdown on that in the future, where I'm gonna show you why Thailand and why Vietnam are absolutely not free, and why you should consider living there. And I don't recommend it because of, again, the videos you will see in the future. But at least after living in hostels for months, which I fucking hated, I now have a private room, and I have some ideas how I can make money again. I mean, I'm making money, you know, but it's just been fucked the last month because I'm too honest. But I'm gonna scale this up. I'm gonna make a lot more content, and I've just released my school community. You might have seen that already. And I'm having guests there who are making money online, who are kicking ass on social media. So we recently had a dude, a German student who has 20,000 followers on socials, has videos with millions of views, and we did like a Q&A with them inside the community. So if you want to join that, I'll put the link in the comments, and you'll get access to me and other dudes who even know more than me when it comes to social media and like making money online. Because, you know, the criticism sometimes is, well, you're not making that much money. Yeah, it's true, but I'll compensate that with people who know even more than me, so that criticism is actually not working anymore, if that makes sense. So thank you to the people who are always pointing the fingers at the things that are insufficient, because it just gives me even more ideas how to make my things even better. And sometimes these criticisms are appropriate, sometimes they're not. But in any case, in the community, you will have people who actually have more knowledge than me, and you'll also have a dedicated community of men who are working on themselves and like trying to make money by themselves, running their own business, doing their own thing, leveling up in life, and living free. So yeah, you can see a couple of condo buildings here in front of me. Again, it's pretty nice. Maybe you'll like the Philippines, you know? If you're into this Asian culture, into this like indirect communication, then it might be what you want, you know? So, and yeah, for little money, you can have a very high lifestyle here. So these condos are are really, really nice, modern, well furnished, and you'll get them for $350 per month if you just walk inside the building and rent the thing out. Now, of course, everybody's interested in women, right? Who is watching this channel. So the Filipina women are definitely really attractive. I'll try to get some approaches in. But again, it's not my type of culture, the way they're communicating. So I went on a date here with a Filipina. And, you know, it's this like super shy, held back kind of, again, indirect communication that I just find very, very strange. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a matter of cultural preferences. There are men who like this kind of almost childish behavior, you know, this kind of like childish innocence on paper, even though it's not really childish in a sense. It's just like a coping mechanism, if that makes sense. Yeah, but despite all my criticism of the Philippines, it did give me a little bit of freedom back, you know, after this month in other Asian countries like Thailand and Vietnam, which were a personal horror show for me because, yeah, I mean, I do value freedom highly and these countries do not. So it was just, and at the same time, all my money was gone. Sometimes my grandma sent me money. I didn't ask her to do it, but she knew I was broke. So she kept on sending this cash. Sometimes she still does. So yeah, of course I feel like, oh, I'm 28, you know, I should get my life sorted out, which I will. But I think the last month I've been also treated unfairly in a lot of ways with restrictions for honesty, which is, in my opinion, something good. And yes, I revealed negative things about myself, but it is kind of easy to be honest about positive things. And it's difficult to be honest about negative things. So if you punch people for being honest about negative things, then they won't be honest. Because honesty always involves flaws, dark feelings, negative stuff. It's just part of it. Otherwise, you're not telling the truth. So the Western world, the way I see this, especially after being in these developing countries here, which are way more in accordance with life. You know, they won't persecute you for looking at a woman's ass in any like developing country. But in the West, it's the reason why they're failing too, is because they're out of touch with reality. They've taught men to become this little nice little man, you know, who says, who agrees with everything. It's like, yeah. And no, I won't go talk to this woman if I don't have the permission of my boss. Look, of course the West is failing because it taught men to be soft and weak, which is, I mean, you should be vulnerable and honest and express your emotions, yes. But they made them to like little children, you know, that are not dangerous and not harmful. And I tried to integrate those parts into my personality. And the West just fucked me on every level possible. But I'm rebuilding it now. And with this new community that I started, I want you to be part of it, you know? And other folks getting in there who can give me value, who can give you value. That was kind of the idea of it, that everybody has something from it, if that makes sense. Yeah. There's worse places than to be in the Philippines. That's for sure. And I have like a private room now, air conditioned. It's nice. After all these months in fucking hostels where dudes were farting into your face, I lived through fucking hell this month. And my income was stripped one by one for being truthful. And in my experience, it's not gonna stay this way because the anytime when people try to like cancel me or shut me down, they might have succeeded for 1-2 years, but then I came back big time. Before I started traveling the world and I was self-employed and went all these places, I had to burn my life to the ground, right? I got kicked out of 3 universities, I've been excluded on all these levels, and then I got the money, the cash, the freedom. So sometimes, you know, people are clinging to their old life. They don't want to burn it down, but that's what keeps them stuck in like the situation that they're in, and that's actually keeping them from being free. So you see these people mocking me now, pointing fingers, but we'll see who laughs at last, you know. And sometimes it's necessary to do these painful things that I'm doing now, to go through these like negative things, and to build something new, to build something better. And actually the truth has this way of just setting things on fire in a certain extent, literally. Yeah, like walking through hell, you know, hellfire. But then on the other side, you get to paradise. That's actually what Dante's Inferno was about. It's a journey to God, but it starts in hell, you know. So there's this 3 phases in Dante's Inferno. The first one, the Divine Comedy. The first one is Inferno, which is hell. Then you have the this judgment thing, and in the end they get to paradise. I think that was the story. But yeah, the exit to hell was in its center in the Inferno, and they couldn't just get out of it. They had to go through it. They had to get in the center of it. They had to go deep in it, and that's what I did. And we'll see if I get to paradise again or not. I mean, you can follow the journey, and if you want to, drop a follow. And thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna keep you updated.